I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Daniel Bland, co-founder of Cirus Foundation, back once again. Daniel, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Well, Ashton, thank you so much for having us, and really happy to be here.
You're very welcome. I'm excited to have Cirus back. Recently we spoke with the other co-founder, Michael Luck, who it sounds like 2022 has been a productive year for Cirus, despite all of the craziness that happened, all the news in cryptocurrency. I feel like it was a builder's year, and all of these projects that have a long-term vision really put their heads down and we're working on building for the future. So I'm excited to hear your insights on what happened throughout there and also the projections for 2023. I would love to kick off our conversation with just a little bit from those who aren't familiar with Cirus Foundation on what Cirus is all about, how you guys are bringing innovations into Web3, and then we'll dive into all those details.
Well, fantastic. That's a great intro. And Cirus was founded to solve a problem. We believe the internet, as it's currently constructed, is broken. And we believe that if you surf the internet, instead of the oligarchies making billions of dollars, that the owner of the data should be paid for the data. So our entire ethos is predicated on that. Own your data and own your assets, and that has never been more pertinent than what we've seen happen in 2022. So, so it's not complicated. It's very, very simple. We just want to properly distribute the wealth that's been generated in the internet days to the actual people that own that data.
Great intro. And there's two important parts to that. There's owning your own data and owning your own digital assets as well, which is especially important in cryptocurrency. I feel like people think about the assets part because they have some of their assets in, for example, FTX, and it gets hacked, and all of a sudden you've lost a lot of money, right? And people are starting to smarten up and realize self-custody and being able to own your own assets is a huge value. But I think people don't understand the importance as much as personal data, which is very important as well. And there's been a lot of hacks and exploits where people's personal information is in almost all of the social medias. And as you mentioned at the beginning, the internet's sort of broken. Almost every of these large companies have all been hacked, and their personal information of all the customers have been taken. But you don't really see, an instant reaction from those users because they don't really know what's happening with their data behind, the walled gardens. But I feel like it's just as important of an issue as owning your own, cryptocurrencies and making sure that they don't get lost as your personal information. Because I feel like, more so each year, people are using products in Web 2 where they're free and they're like, oh, it's free, it must just be because they like us. But really their value is their personal information, and somehow it's being sold off or siphoned away somehow. And I feel like that's like an important issue that needs to be solved with Web 3.
Yeah, it's really, really gratifying to see this movement of Web 3, which is all about controlling your data and managing your assets online. We've been working on this behind the scenes for a few years. We were Web 3 before there was Web 3. The essence of Web 3, if we, in the first, look at the definition, the first thing it says is control your data. Okay, cool. And why is that important? And it really, it goes to the evolution from Web 2 to Web 3. And Web 2, let's be clear, Web 2 had to happen before there could be a Web 3. Web 2, the oligarchies, to their credit, spent hundreds of billions of dollars building the internet, building the infrastructure. That was all done on their back, and that was all done on their cost. And the reality is that most of the Web 2 oligarchies started their business without an understanding of how to monetize it. You'll never see in Facebook, you'll never see in Google's business plan where their initial decks said, we're going to sell online advertising. That came after the fact, and they certainly took it and ran with it. They did really good with it. Back when the internet was first coming out, we looked at it and said, well, how's this going to make sense? And we thought of a micro payment strategy, so that you'd launch Wall Street Journal, and every, you go on there and you pay half a cent or 2 cents, was really the foundation of what crypto became. And of course, at that time, there wasn't the technology, it didn't develop. So they said, okay, well, that's not going to happen. And so then somebody, and it was really the venture capital guy, said, hey, you guys are getting a lot of users. These advertisers could really, migrate to online advertising, and it turned into this huge $1 trillion industry that is online advertising. And it's much more effective. We don't have to go through the mechanics of how and why it's more effective, but just think about it. If you can target people that are looking at a specific product online, researching it, well, then if I'm an advertiser and I advertise you to buy that, you're interested because you're looking to buy it, as opposed to some sort of broadcast email where you may or may not be looking for that particular product. So Web3 is there for the sake of Web2 being broken, but Web 2 did good. Web 2 was fine. Web 2 created a lot of wealth. And as an entrepreneur, you have to embrace that and accept that and applaud that. Nothing wrong with those guys figuring out how to make a bunch of money. From our perspective, it's the next evolution. As an entrepreneur, where is our opportunity? As an entrepreneur, our opportunity isn't to compete with Facebook or Meta or Google. We have to do something different. Well, what's different? If we look at it from an entrepreneurial standpoint, what we see that's broken is that the owners of the data aren't being paid. They aren't being compensated, and that's a flaw. Blockchain and all the technology that's been developed now allows us to do that. So, people look at Web 2 and are looking at it in a negative way. I don't look at it that way. I look at Web 2 as God bless them for building this beautiful infrastructure that allows us now the next step, which is, okay, you guys had a good run. You had a good 20-year run of taking our data, monetizing it, filling your buckets with cash, God bless. But now it's time that we turn that around. And that's what Cirus is all about. And frankly, that is the real use case today for Web3. If we have to break it down and what's the future of Web3, well, cool. Let's start with the fundamentals of Web3, which is, let's take that data that you, right now, you own, but you don't control. In fact, every website that you go on, they ask your permission to monetize your data. So it's not like they're taking it and stealing it. They're getting your permission to do it. So fine, cool, that's all good. So now let's take it one step further. The next step is, let's take that and figure out how to pay you for it, as opposed to just getting access to websites.
That's a great point, Daniel. And yeah, over this 20-year run, you can look at the revenues from Facebook and Google, and yeah, they've done a great job generating billions in revenue. But I think, as you mentioned there, you do go to these sites and it says something about cookies and it says okay, and you're like, oh, just click it. You don't really know what you're clicking, but it's actually like authorizing them to track you to make money from that, right? And I think that's definitely the next step, is like, where, if you're going to sell advertisements catered to us, and we're going to give you our information for that, then maybe we should be getting a cut from it.
Yeah, it's so basic to me that when we looked at it, we said, why, it's crazy that no one's doing this. When we were first doing this and putting this all together, there was no one doing this. And now, Web3 and data, okay, great. That's absolutely what should happen. And so when you talk decentralization, so there's an evolution from 2.0 to 3.0, where you first have to be centralized to then understand how you become decentralized. And so decentralization, in our case, is competition. Competing for the platform of users that are on Cirus and go to different platforms, it'll be a competition. That's true decentralization from a centralized construct that eventually we all get to decentralization. But it's going to be a long time before we get true decentralization. But as long as we have centralized organizations that understand that and support that and embrace that and understand that we have to pay the owners of the data along the way, then it becomes a much more smooth transition to true and pure decentralization, which will be years from now.
And with this example of having advertisements and being able to monetize from your own personal information for the use case of receiving advertisements, is that the main use case, at least what Cirus is working with? I feel like obviously monetizing your personal data could work across the web for many different use cases.
That's right, and so the first thing you look at is what's currently there. And so what's currently there works great. The broken part is not that it doesn't work. The broken part is that the money is not being distributed fairly. So we're just, from our standpoint, looking at it and say, let's understand being a conventional big data company, and then just taking that revenue and giving it to the owners of the data. So when we talk about sort of the foundation, that's at the fundamental. When we talk about Web3, and let's really get into Web3 from a crypto perspective, Web3 from a crypto perspective is this DeFi play, is how do we leverage what we're actually monetizing today and make that more valuable. And that's really what Cirus Foundation, the ecosystem that we're very excited about. It's not just the ability to pay you for your data. That's cool. But the next layer is let's get you into the Cirus ecosystem with some DeFi products and allow you to leverage that and start increasing that earn in a variety of different ways. And this is where we get into financial literacy that I think, frankly, is lacking in society. The financial illiteracy is rampant. So these rails allow us to start the process of teaching financial literacy at a very early age. If you're 15 years old and surf the internet, you can earn money and you can get in the system and you can learn DeFi and what that means in terms of leveraging the amount of money that you're earning through your internet insights, which now you don't understand you're earning. You're just not getting you're not being paid for it, but someone is getting paid for it. Believe me, your insights are being monetized. And for people to think that you're not worth something online, you are worth a lot online. And so the other aspects of what Web3 brings to the table beyond DeFi and beyond a crypto overlay, that has to be discovered. And this is the frustration that a lot of people have with Web3. So it's a fad, or it's just nobody has a concrete use case yet for Web3. Well, I submit to you that the concrete fundamental use case for Web3 is being paid for your data, because that's real, right? That's now. That's not something that has to be discovered or developed. That's today. And what's great about innovation is let's take the fundamental and then build from that fundamental. And that's really what we're excited about at Cirus Foundation, is to come up with these different apps and these DeFi products that we will allow people to experiment with and increase their value.
Yeah, that's a great point, Daniel, about younger people that are they're already using the web for everything, and all of their searches and choices are being documented through the web. Now it's just about being able to monetize, or being able to get some value out of the value that these companies are capturing from them. And I feel like it's going to be a lot easier with Web3 than it was in the past, where you had to start up your own corporation and start building a company to make a big business plan to start making some money. I feel like it's a lot simpler than that. And I feel like even you mentioned there with DeFi and leveraging this, it all starts with like a wallet just on the browser. You could just have a wallet where all of a sudden you're able to get a little bit, and then from there you can get a lot more.
Well, that's right. And again, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to redistribute the wealth. The wealth is there. The money is there. We just have to make sure that the owners are getting that money. And then we say, okay, so now we remit in a stable coin, for example. Okay, now let's take that. Let's show you how coming into the Cirus ecosystem or any of the crypto ecosystems and leveraging that value that has been created into these DeFi products that will define the true essence of Web3 in the future. The cool part is that we don't know what is going to be the thing that resonates in true Web3 until it's developed, until it's innovated. And that's the great thing about innovation. If we go back to when the internet first began, you did not know what was going to be the winning solutions. It was all to be discovered. Search is great now, we all understand that, but that was not necessarily the case when it first began. It was like, okay, is this going to be cool? Well, it turned out to be very cool. So those are the things that is in our future with Web3, and that's the exciting part about, in my opinion, what Web3 represents is the future.
Definitely. And on that advertising use case, I've seen some companies try to get a little bit of monetization for say there's avid shoppers. They're always on Amazon. They're always buying stuff, and they're pretty valuable when it comes to capturing information. But sometimes they don't equate the value that they think they're worth to the value that they're actually getting in the wallet. Maybe say they're getting a couple dollars a month or even less. Is there ways that you foresee as Cirus grows out to be able to maximize that monetization of I want to focus on my personal information and try to monetize from it as much as I can?
Yeah, right now, industry standard, the average consumer to the big data world is worth about $9 per month. So you have a family of 3 or 4. That's a number, right? That's a several $100s, and that is almost in an adversarial relationship. The advertisers and the consuming public kind of have this love-hate relationship with advertisers, and so if we go down that next level and understand that we're now, from a big data perspective and from the Cirus perspective, we're actually your agent working as a partnership with you and with the advertisers, what happens is that the information becomes much more granular and much more valuable to the advertisers and ultimately then to the user and to the owner of the data. So that's the cool part, is that we believe we can expand dramatically on that $9 a month and over a period of time, and understanding that new markets are going to be developed with this idea that the advertisers are working closely with the consumer, who's willing to give more information, not less, and more information is more valuable. And why would I give more information? Well, if you think about advertising, number one, we have to understand advertising is never going away. In a capital society, that's just not going to happen. So, people say, well, you can block ads. Well, think about no ads. How would the commerce operate with no ads? So we understand that advertising is going to be there. So if we understand that, then if I'm a consumer, I want to have relevant ads that I am pitched, right? So if we have, how do we get more relevant ads? Well, the big data companies have to know more about you, and that's a scary part. Unless you're part of the equation. If you're part of the equation, if you're part of the monetization model, say, well, okay, I know I'm being monetized anyway. So if I just take one more step and now understand I'm being paid for that, now I can get into this idea of how much information I want to share. And again, Cirus allows you the opportunity to share as little or as much as you want. So you can not share a lot. That's fine. You'll get paid less, or you can share more and you get paid more. And when you really understand the economics of that, it becomes pretty exciting that there's some real opportunity. And then we take that core fundamental value, and then we leverage that into the Cirus ecosystem, where you can now start investing and start doing different things with our platform that allows you to grow that into a substantial return, potentially. I mean, this is all the this is the potential of what we're representing.
No, that's very exciting. And going back to the beginning, I was speaking about I listened to the year-end review for Cirus, and a lot of the blockchain companies, they just heads down building hard throughout all of 2022, and despite whatever is happening on this exchange or that, we understand that this is a big picture. And I think the advertisers in the 2000s understood that we're not just going to build this for the next 2 years. Google Ads has been running for 20 plus years, and it will be the same with Web3 advertising as well. So I want to bring it up to the present and the future and the next steps for 2023. I know that your team's been building a lot. Maybe you can talk about, sort of where you guys are at and what are the next steps for getting this monetization into the hands of the users that want to use it.
Yeah, great question. And you're right. 2022 for Cirus was all about build. Was all about how do we build this engine? How do we build this front-facing interface? And we spent a lot of time on that, a lot of resources on that. And mid-year, the decision was made to really be bold and go after sort of that ultimate prize from the user experience and user interface, which is have this beautiful, elegant product that nobody else has seen in this space. Everybody that, we looked at the competition, and that basically are wallets, right? If you look at the end of the day, everything that we're doing, bottom line, is monetization. So you have to have a wallet before you monetize. That's the tool by which you are paid, right? So we looked at the competition, and frankly, we were unimpressed. We said, well, there's no innovation here. There's nothing that looks nice. So we engaged a very formidable design group out of Silicon Valley. And in our opinion, they have built something that is absolutely stunning. And we're close to releasing that very soon, and we're very excited about it. We think that it'll be award-winning and blow people's socks off when they see it. I'm not sure if you've seen it. Ashton, have you seen the...
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So I'll have to send you a little sneak peek, but it's stunning, and that's important for us because at the end of the day, if you're not doing something that the user feels good about, then you're not really meeting the expectations, and so we want to exceed expectations in terms of the user interface and the user experience. And we think we're going to transform the industry with this product. And so building that product has taken a long time. It's taken us longer than we thought, but as it turns out, it was great because 22 had its issues with the market in general. So it was great to be in build mode. And so we're excited about that. And it's also opened up other marketing opportunities, not just on the data, but the owning your assets part of it and controlling your assets. That's also a big piece of this, and the self-custodial component that you talked about earlier is a major initiative that we're working on, and so we've been building that strategy, and we'll be rolling that out here very soon in the new year.
Very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I'd love to get a sneak peek, and would love to have that discussion, on the show again when it's released, and we can take a look at it to the general public. We'll definitely get you the early look at it, and we want you to review it and then talk about it. And this is the cool part is we're going to get these groups to take a look and tell us what they think, and we've been doing it ourselves internally with groups, and obviously different teams, but we're convinced this is going to be a game changer in the marketplace. No, it's very exciting, Daniel, and I think it's a great application for people that are just everyone browsing the web. A very small percentage of people browsing the web are deeply involved with cryptocurrencies and trading and that kind of stuff. Correct. But almost everybody is browsing the web to some extent, and they all have their data being tracked. So, I feel like that emphasis on the user interface and just the user experience being like having that bridge from Web 2 where it doesn't really change your experience. You're still browsing the web like you normally would, but you're getting the benefits of Web 3 and that data monetization without really having to understand blockchain 101, read the books and things, because it doesn't matter. It's working for you already in the background.
That's the key, and we want to have that seamless. We want to have that completely so seamless that it is no different than what you're doing today. Mm-hmm. The only difference is there's a little thing on your phone or on your browser that says, hey, you earned this much money today. Mm-hmm. And wow, what's wrong with that? And from a crypto perspective, it's like, okay, we remit in stable coin. Okay, that's nice. So, but here's an opportunity to take that and leverage that into a DeFi product, into the ecosystem mm-hmm. of the Cirus world, if you will. And that's really, that's kind of the essence, and that's what we need in the industry, mm-hmm. In the crypto industry and at large, is true use cases and true utility, mm-hmm. and really having a reason to be there, as opposed mm-hmm. to just saying, well, we're here, so why, what do you actually do? And a lot of projects have a problem answering that question. Mm-hmm. Ours is a pretty simple answer. Ours mm-hmm. is, well, we're going to show you that there's real money that you're not getting when you're on the internet that you should mm-hmm. be getting, mm-hmm. and now you can leverage that into some real cool DeFi products that will increase that amount into a substantial amount potentially.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Daniel, for your insights into this, and I'm excited to see the launch of it. I would love for some place where the viewers can follow along, leading up to the launch of it and prior to us doing a video after it's launched. Where's the best place for people to learn more about this and follow along for that launch?
Yeah, cirusfoundation.com is our website, and we're going to be updating the website here very soon. That will give people the opportunity to see what we're about with the launch of the product, and we're very excited about that. And again, thank you so much for taking the time, and we'll get you the early look here. And you've been a great supporter of Cirus, and we really appreciate your support.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Daniel. I'll leave those links in the description box below. Looking forward to the launch and our next discussion, and let's just follow up in the near future.
Thanks, Ashton. Thank you, sir.